The Miami Heat are no strangers to the struggle. 2 seasons ago, the Heat had a pretty forgettable regular season and just barely made it to the playoffs. They made the most of the opportunity, though, and gave us one of the greatest playoff runs in NBA history. Faced with regressing players, the possibility of their star player being traded, and other challenges, can the Heat turn their struggles into success again, or is this the beginning of their rebuild? Don't forget to like and subscribe for more NBA content. The Miami Heat are currently 14 and 13 at the time of this recording, which has them placed 6th in the East. I don't think we're at a point in the season where it's time to hit the panic button just yet, but it'll be a good time to get things rolling soon. From my observations, it seems as though the Heat are dealing with a consistency problem when it comes to their key players stepping up. When they made it to the finals a couple years ago, they had players like Gabe Vincent, Caleb Martin, and Duncan Robinson stepping up to add to Bam and Jimmy's production. Now it just seems like the entire team just looks at the next guy when it's time to make a big play. Looking at the Heat now, it's kind of hard to believe that this team made it to the finals not too long ago. Granted, they did lose a couple of key contributors in trades, but ultimately, the heart and soul of the team is relatively the same. The 22-23 season was like a roller coaster for the Heat that featured multiple ups and downs. They were just able to sneak into the playoffs as the 8th seed after an average 44 and 38 record. The Heat were matched up with the beast of the East at the time, the Milwaukee Bucks. Everyone assumed the Bucks would steamroll Miami, but there was one key aspect that would lead to the Heat's victory if they could take advantage of it. Giannis suffered a back contusion in the first half of Game 1 and didn't return until Game 4. The Bucks ended up losing that game, and they also lost a pivotal Game 3, which had them down 1-2 in the series. With the momentum in their favor and the activation of playoff Jimmy, the Heat were destined to advance. Butler was averaging an insane 38 points per game throughout the entire series, and even put up 56 points in a Game 4 victory, which I personally think sealed the series. Butler played so well in this series, people were convinced that he had to be Michael Jordan's son. The Heat became only the 5th team in NBA history to defeat a number 1 seeded team in the playoffs as the 8th seed. The Heat were able to slow down the red-hot Jalen Brunson in their Eastern semifinals matchup against the Knicks and beat them 4-2. Bam averaged a double-double this series, while Jimmy averaged 25 points, 7 assists, and 6 rebounds per game. There were also key contributions from Max Strus, Kyle Lowry, Caleb Martin, and Gabe Vincent, who were all averaging over 10 points per game. The Celtics were the second best team in the East that year and will be another tall task for the Heat to overcome. This series went to 7 games, but there were 2 games in particular that I believe helped put Miami in the driver's seat. Game 3 was by far Jimmy Butler's worst game in these playoffs, but it didn't even matter because Gabe Vincent stepped up big time. Vincent finished with 29 points while shooting 78% from the field. This performance proved that any of their role players can step up and pick up the slack in crucial moments. It's safe to say Miami didn't take this Game 7 lightly. The Heat convincingly sent Boston home after a 19-point victory and 28 points from playoff Jimmy. The Heat's historic playoff run unfortunately fell short when they met Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets in the finals. Even though they lost to the Nuggets, I believed this playoff run would give Miami the confidence and momentum to transform into a dominant team that will ultimately become the team to beat. The Heat made a big move during their next season to add another playmaker and shot creator around Butler and Bam. After losing Vincent over the summer, the Heat were in dire need to fill that void. They ended up trading away Kyle Lowry and a 2027 first-round pick to the Charlotte Hornets in order to get Terry Rozier. At the time, I felt like this was a steal for Miami and possibly the one factor that would get them back to the finals. Rozier was averaging a career-high 23 points per game, along with 4 rebounds and 7 assists while shooting 46% from the field and 36% from 3. This is exactly what Miami's struggling offense needed at the time. A guard who can create his own shot or create opportunities for his teammates. His style of play will help alleviate Hero and Hawkes Jr.'s playmaking duties, making the game easier for everyone. The Heat finished as the 8th seed again this season with a 46-36 record, but this time things were a lot different. They faced a formidable Boston Celtics team in the first round, but they were a lot different than the Eastern Conference Finals. Boston added Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday to their already dominant roster, and they were more than ready for revenge. Playoff Jimmy will be sidelined this entire series due to a knee injury, and Rozier didn't suit up either. Bam, Hero, and Hawkes Jr. did everything they could to put this team on their back, but it just wasn't enough. I believe Derek White's 38-point performance in Game 4 put the dagger in the hearts of Miami and erased any hope they had in the series. Miami had done everything they could to gear themselves up for another deep postseason run, but injuries quickly ended that dream. The Heat lose another key role player over the summer as Caleb Martin decided to sign with the 76ers. To make matters worse, he turned down a 5-year, $65 million contract from Miami because he felt like it was too low, to then turn around a week later and sign a 4-year, $32 million contract with Philly. I don't know about y'all, but getting $12 million plus a year to be a role player doesn't sound bad to me at all. Either Martin was trolling the Heat or he actually played himself. It seems as though Miami is on track to have another subpar season with a possible first round exit. They have gotten off to a pretty slow start, and it seems like most of their key contributors are either regressing or just haven't taken as big of a leap as fans would have hoped. Both Jimmy and Bam have had steady production as far as assists and rebounds, but over the last 2 seasons, their scoring averages have been trending downward. Rozier's health has been an issue as he only played a combined 60 games over the last 2 seasons. His scoring averages have seen a dip as well since his breakout years in Charlotte. Hawkins Jr. seems to be going through a sophomore slump as his minutes and production have decreased so far this season. There has been one bright spot for Miami though, and that has been the emergence of Tyler Hero. So far, all of his averages have increased and it looks like he's about to evolve into a star. He's averaging 24 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists in 35 minutes per game. If Hero can improve his defense some more, he could have the potential to be just as good, if not better, than Devin Booker. With Hero taking this leap, it makes you wonder, is Miami ready to head in another direction? Trade rumors are buzzing all around the 35-year-old Butler, and this is the best time to go out and acquire that key contributor. Although Butler has helped lead this team to finish at number 1 in the East in the 21-22 season and led them to 2 finals in the past 4 years, it hasn't really generated much success when you look at the big picture. Communication between Butler and the front office seems to be at a dead end, and nobody knows what will come next. After the Heat won Game 2 of their series versus Boston back in April, Butler then posted a meme on social media trolling the Celtics and warning them not to take the Heat lightly. Well, this meme aged like milk because Boston proceeded to dismantle Miami the next 3 games and sent them packing. Pat Riley didn't understand why Butler was commenting anyway since he was sidelined for the series and recommended that he should just keep his mouth shut. I remember hearing about this and being shocked that Riley would air something like this out rather than make it a private conversation. Knowing Butler's aggressive and competitive nature, I know this didn't go over well with him. This type of behavior is a chemistry killer and could easily be a contributing factor to Miami's lack of success recently. Butler's name has been involved with a couple teams already amidst all the trade rumors, but I believe he'll be best suited on a team where he won't have to be the first option. Butler is 35 and has been battling multiple knee, ankle, and back injuries. I think it's safe to say he's exited his prime. I believe Golden State would be the ideal destination for Butler to continue his career. Even though Steph is in his late 30s, he's still an efficient number 1 option for scoring. Minus a few recent performances, I could see Butler having an enforcer type role like Draymond, where he's setting the tone on the defensive end and doing some of the dirty work. If Miami is able to effectively negotiate with Butler to figure out a solution that can land them even a solid role player, I believe this team will have a bright future. Hero has the potential to become an elite scorer on a nightly basis and become the cornerstone for this team. Bam is a versatile defender that needs to evolve his touch around the rim in order to embody that two-way identity. Hawkins Jr. proved that he could step up and be a contributor for Miami his rookie year, so the potential is definitely there. If Miami could attract or develop another star to put beside Hero and Bam, this team could be special. Adding some more depth on the bench wouldn't hurt either, especially if they plan on making a deep postseason run.